if you were an American woman in the 1920s. Lighting a cigarette publicly was utterly scandalous. Behavior associated only with rebels and prostitutes. Then something remarkable occurred at New York's Easter Parade. Elegant women simultaneously ignited cigarettes, dubbing them torches of freedom and symbols of feminine liberation. Sounds inspiring, doesn't it? These women had no idea they were participants in modern history's first grand social engineering experiment. Orchestrating this seemingly spontaneous demonstration was Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, working for American Tobacco. Bernays uncovered something revolutionary. Selling products is unnecessary when you can sell identity, emotion, and aspiration instead. Applying his uncle's psychoanalytic theories about unconscious drives, Bernays transformed smoking from masculine vice into feminine empowerment symbol. Within years, Lucky Strike's female sales skyrocketed. More significantly, this birthed what became known as consent engineering. What you're discovering transcends shallow conspiracy theories. We're examining an invisible control architecture operating at consciousness depths so profound that victims not only consent to manipulation, but defend it vigorously. Prepare for a journey through social reality's most concealed layers, revealing how entire populations are manipulated into accepting misery and ignorance through techniques combining deep psychology, occult symbolism, and social engineering. This is collective mind control's anatomy, consent engineering. Nearly a century after Freud's nephew conducted that experiment, we're immersed in infinitely more sophisticated manipulation versions. Every impulse purchase, political argument, and social crisis is orchestrated by forces operating beyond our perception. Most remain completely oblivious. When Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman published Manufacturing Consent in 1988, they exposed how media functions as a filter, determining not just what we consider, but what we're permitted to consider. Everything consumed, from Netflix binges to social media feeds, carries hidden information layers serving controllers' interests. Fake news has become commonplace on social platforms without fact verification. Some members exploit these platforms, pushing personal agendas, creating extreme democracy threats. Following Vietnam, U.S. government studies discovered populations had developed what they termed sickly violence inhibitions. Americans had grown too reluctant supporting military actions, problematic for imperial superpowers. Investigative journalist David Robb documented in Operation Hollywood how the Pentagon has influenced Hollywood over 50 years, offering technical support and equipment for content control. Films like Rambo weren't casual entertainment, but carefully orchestrated psychological operations, reprogramming public perceptions of violence and patriotism. The Pentagon systematically collaborates with studios, ensuring war films portray conflicts as necessary and heroic. They provide military resources and locations, but only with final script approval. The outcome? Entire generations romanticizing warfare, psychologically primed for decades of military interventions. Consent engineering's most powerful tool is distraction. Ancient Romans understood this. Keep masses fed and entertained, preventing power questioning. Today, this strategy has become scientific. Your TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube algorithms are designed by behavioral neuroscientists hijacking brain reward systems. Former Google executive Tristan Harris revealed in The Social Dilemma how these platforms compete for the digital age's most valuable commodity: your attention. The objective isn't merely screen addiction, but draining mental energy potentially used for growth or critical questioning. Who meditates or reads when endless feeds offer content more addictive than cocaine? As Aldous Huxley observed, book banning becomes unnecessary when people don't want reading them. Formal education has been completely hijacked by this agenda. School curriculum control is meticulously planned as the system's primary defense against mass awareness. Subjects sparking critical consciousness are systematically excluded or distorted. Instead, we receive fragmented knowledge creating technical specialists, but wisdom-illiterate citizens. The goal maintains populations at minimal education levels, sufficient for task completion, but insufficient for system questioning. Universities, which should be critical thinking centers, have become ideological reproduction factories. Students graduate with expensive diplomas, lacking independent analysis capacity. They learn what to think, not how to think. While programmed ignorance defends this system, attacks happen through emotional manipulation. Those behind curtains understand something fundamental. Emotions are subconscious language. Whoever controls emotions controls actions. Do you truly control your emotions and decisions? According to decades of behavioral neuroscience research, the answer is no. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner in economics, demonstrated in Thinking Fast and Slow how our brains make decisions within milliseconds through automatic, irrational processes before conscious minds realize what's happening. Consent engineers weaponize this against us. Modern marketing is surgically precise applied psychology. Images of babies, children, and pets appear in advertisements deliberately. They trigger deep maternal instincts, especially potent in women, creating unconscious compulsions to protect and nurture. This isn't casual marketing, but neuromarketing grounded in deep understanding of mind functioning. How often have you made impulsive purchases, then questioned why? That wasn't personal failure, but the system working precisely as designed. You were manipulated through emotional triggers operating beneath awareness levels. They know exactly how to spark any desired impulse, making you purchase anything, adopt any opinion about any figure or situation by pushing subconscious buttons like video game joystick controls. One brilliant strategy is systematic culture sexualization. We're discussing meticulously calculated social engineering. Media hypersexualization serves two strategic purposes: profit and keeping humanity trapped at Maslow's hierarchy's second level, unable to climb consciousness evolution's ladder. In men, sexual energy constantly drains through pornography and cultural hypersexualization, creating chronically fatigued individuals lacking vital force for questioning or resistance. This energy, when conserved, generates personal power and mental clarity. Its constant dissipation produces weak, dependent, easily controlled men. In women, the strategy reverses but remains equally destructive. Natural feminine energy from deep, sacred feminine connection becomes corrupted through hypersexualization and objectification. The result is complete disconnection from authentic feminine power, creating existential voids requiring compulsive consumerism filling. Cultural infantilization is another fundamental control architecture pillar. Popular music, movies, and digital content are deliberately dumbed down, treating adults like 12-year-olds. This isn't accidental cultural democratization, but precise psychological strategy. As Edward Bernays wrote in Propaganda, adults question authority, analyze critically, and make independent decisions. Children are easily influenced, respond to authority unquestioningly, and accept simple narratives about complex worlds. Constantly simplified entertainment and basic language maintains populations in infantilized mental states, creating totally dependent individuals incapable of complex decision-making. Social violence is carefully cultivated, serving power interests. Governments systematically fuel social tensions, then present solutions involving more control, surveillance, and individual freedom restrictions. It's classic problem-reaction-solution strategy. create or amplify problems, wait for fear and outrage reactions, then implement originally desired solutions. These protective measures aren't just accepted, but demanded by populations themselves. Everything discussed so far merely scratches the surface, mechanisms visible to those with seeing eyes. Much deeper layers exist where this engineering has infiltrated. Every foundational societal institution, financial, pharmaceutical, food, educational, spiritual, operates under this same command. Pharmaceutical corporations don't just sell medication, but redefine health and disease parameters. Conditions once seen as normal human experience variations are now pathologized and medicalized. Natural sadness becomes clinical depression. Introversion becomes social anxiety disorder. Screen-hijacked attention becomes ADHD. This existence medicalization serves multiple purposes: generating astronomical profits, creating chemical dependency, and redefining spiritual and social problems as individual biological defects requiring chemical intervention instead of personal transformation or social change. The food industry operates on similar principles, using neuroscientific knowledge about brain pleasure centers, creating deliberately addictive products. Specific sugar, salt, and fat combinations in processed foods aren't accidental, but result from decades of research hacking neurological reward systems. The goal exceeds profit. Populations chronically intoxicated by processed foods live in mental fog, emotional instability, and chronic fatigue, preventing critical thinking and effective action. In circuses, tigers are whip-trained until obedient. The obedient tiger is good. But there's an even better kind, one needing no whip, having internalized system doctrine so deeply it behaves exactly as desired without force. This tiger obeys independently, fully internalizing game rules, no longer requiring coercion because it's become its own jailer. That's consent engineering's ultimate goal. Creating populations that self-control, self-censor, consume exactly what they should, and think exactly what they should, all while believing they're making free choices. This situation may seem hopeless, but there's one element control architects can't manipulate: consciousness evolution's natural rhythm. We're living in a transition period where keeping humanity asleep becomes increasingly difficult, despite their efforts, as greater forces catalyze collective awakening. Each passing year makes shadow hiding harder. People are awakening, and more awakened people weaken the illusion trapping us. Waking from this collective hypnosis is the first step. But solutions cannot be traditional violent revolutions. Anyone reading Orwell's Animal Farm knows swapping leaders without transforming consciousness just perpetuates oppression cycles in new forms. The real revolution won't be televised. It can't have leaders, symbols, or parties because these immediately become targets for attacks, corruption, and sabotage. The revolution must happen in each individual's consciousness silence. By breaking your own chains and abandoning your old lifestyle, you're actively fighting the current system. That's how you reclaim power. The big question isn't about those orchestrating control. Their fate is sealed by their own choices and the suffering they've initiated. The real question is with us here and now. What choices will we make in each situation? As Martin Luther King said, "There are some things in our society and world to which I'm proud to be maladjusted." There's only one real choice: conform or become, in the system's eyes, an enemy. Every time you control impulses, question news, or choose real education over empty entertainment, you're contributing to revolution. Consent engineering only works while we remain unconscious of its mechanisms. The moment we understand its operations, its power over us dissolves. This understanding is your liberation and the beginning of transformation the world desperately needs. What kind of tiger are you? Word count, 1,000.